watching a Bollywood movie, honestly, when I look back at my life.
Okay.
And which is why I am always fighting for words whenever somebody asks me this question. Because I was a young, aspiring girl from Dehradun and living in a small town, studying in a convent school, and thinking of doing big things in this world back in the early 2000s. Okay.
Avantika, you said you're a storyteller, right? Just before this. My first question would be, what is your story?
My story,
Mhm.
wow. So it's like watching a Bollywood movie, honestly, when I look back at my life.
Okay.
And which is why I am always fighting for words whenever somebody asks me this question. Because I was a young, aspiring girl from Dehradun and living in a small town, studying in a convent school, and thinking of doing big things in this world back in the early 2000s. And that's when, and I was also a little unaware on what is it that I want to pursue as a career, because that time we didn't have that much guidance. There was no social media. There were
Hmm.
very few paths which were the like set in stone. This is something that will get you money and name and fame. So that time, I thought, okay, let me just get into mass communication and journalism. So a girl from a small town who enters media and comes to Mumbai to study journalism and mass communication, and that's when I realized that being in a big city and a cosmopolitan city like Bombay can make such a big difference to you and your life, and how it can really help in shaping up your personality. And one second, there was. Can you hear me?
I can. There was a tiny bit of a glitch
Yeah,
though.
because there was a lot of messages that were coming on WhatsApp, so I've just shut it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I did journalism, and then I also explored Bombay. I worked as an intern with the Indian Express, with the
Hmm.
who's who of the media, honestly. And it was like I was like a starry-eyed girl who was in Bombay and going around and working with Stardust magazine and Savvy, the Indian Express, Midday.
Yeah.
And then I got married and I moved to Delhi, and then I moved to HT, Hindustan Times, and then I realized that it was in 2006 or 7 when I moved to HT, and I realized that the online thing was happening. It was becoming big. Online journalism and online media was becoming very big, and
Hmm.
somehow it fascinated me. And why it fascinated me was that you could do a lot of changes. Like, for example, I've written a story and there's something which is wrong. I could change it that very moment. The other thing
Yeah.
was, I used to get feedback immediately.
Hmm.
Vis-a-vis where print media, you're writing and you don't know who's read your story and what is the feedback and what is the takeaway. Whereas online used to give me a lot of feedback, the kind of
Correct.
I used to write. And yeah, so I enjoyed that phase. Then I happened to work with the India Today network, and for some time in Delhi as well as Bombay. And then what happened was, in 2011 I became a mother, and I also moved countries for a bit. For 4 years I was in Shanghai, and that's when this whole thing, or this it dawned upon me that now when I'm a new mother, and now that I have this living being that I have to take care of, I perhaps might not go back to the career that I was so fond of, which is
Hmm.
being a journalist and working 24/7, working on holidays, working in night shifts, graveyard shifts as you call them,
Yeah.
and being present all the time and available all the time. And I realized, oops, I don't think I can go back to where I was. And
Yeah.
I won't say that there was an identity crisis, but of course, a lot of things happen when you become a mother, and especially if
Hmm.
you've been like a working woman and you've been always thinking about work and what is it, you're ambitious basically.
Yeah.
And then you suddenly realize you are in the four walls of a room, and
Hmm.
all you have to do is feed the baby, burp the baby, clean the baby, change the diapers, and if you're
Yeah.
in a foreign country, you don't even get help that easily.
Right.
Indians are blessed in that way. So that is the time that I did a lot of thinking, and there was a lot of, questions that I had in my mind. That, okay, so did I become a mother to do this whole day? Am I
Hmm.
like, I be like this now for my whole life, and
Hmm.
that I'm going to do once, if this gets over, because it looks like that's not getting over, and you're not sleeping, you're like a zombie, and you are prepared for something else, and the baby gets something else. So you basically are totally taken aback, and
Right.
the whole life changes overnight,
Hmm.
Anshika. And it changes in a way that I won't say it changes for the good, because a lot of good things and very pretty, rosy things are said about motherhood. It completes you, it makes you stronger. I'll be very
Yes.
blunt over here. And a lot of those things were told to me also. I was, of course,
Hmm.
looking forward to having a baby and becoming a mother, and I enjoyed it too for some time.
Hmm.
But after a few months, I said, I can't do this. What is it that I've done to myself? Am I really prepared for it? Like that.
Yeah.
Will I be okay doing this, for the rest of my life? If God forbid I'm not able to get
Hmm.
back to my career, because I was a journalist, and
Hmm.
impossible that time to get back to that. Anyhow, also, then I came back to India, and in 2014-15 I came back, and then there was a lot of questions around, okay, what is it that I do next? I can't, of course, go back to newspaper, print, and that's how my experience in online, helped me, and I joined Z Digital as an associate editor for health and lifestyle, and 9 to 5 pretty much, my alley, and suited me. And I was living alone in Bombay without any family support, so leaving my child in the daycare, and
Hmm.
being the whole and soul when it comes to managing a family, managing work, managing a small 3.5 4-year-old girl as well. And that's how I used to talk a lot about it when I
Hmm.
was in the office. And then suddenly there were these parenting websites that were quite popular that time, and they're still there today, like Scary Mommy and
Hmm.
Parents.
Yeah, I have a friend who's a mom, and her son found the website and sent it to her. Hey, look at this scary
Yeah,
mommy, and you are so scary. But
yeah.
yes.
So the whole parenting blogging thing quite was
Hmm.
internationally quite big,
Yeah.
and I you started reading that, and my editor that time suggested, you talk so much about your daughter, and like she has fever today, and this is what I'm doing, this is what they say, and I'm sending my child to daycare, but everybody thinks I'm being selfish.
Hmm.
Thinking about myself, why don't you write about this? This is so
Yeah.
beautiful, and these can make good stories. And like I said, I've always been a storyteller. So then I started writing about my experiences as a new mother, and I used to get a lot of feedback from across the world, from US. In fact, I still remember one follower, Sabah, who used to comment on my posts and used to say that that's the beauty of online, that
Yeah.
you get a global audience suddenly, and
Yes. Yeah.
people can write, and people can tell you how they feel about what you've written.
I
And
get it. When I was a kid, not kid, but I was probably like 13, 14, something like that. I used to run this online poetry page where I would write like very, very shitty poetry, what crushes I have on different boys in my class.
hmm,
But it was around the same time, 2016, 2017, Instagram was up and coming. And the best part of that was I had friends from all over the world because very few people on Instagram to begin with, right? So I
yeah.
could just like talk and get that feedback they're talking about. But yeah, I love the online world so, so much.
Absolutely. So I once wrote a thing about how I'm happy to send my child to daycare every day. And
Hmm.
that blog went viral, and mothers across the world started writing that it's so cool. And this is what we want to talk about, that
Hmm.
and this was in 2014, 15, if I'm
Hmm.
not wrong. And somehow it was something that came very naturally to me.
Hmm.
And my blogs went, like people used to read them across countries. And that's when Asian Parent Singapore, which is now known as the Parenting, and it's the largest parenting
Hmm.
community in Asia. At least they were the first movers in this space,
Right.
first movers in the mom community. And they contacted me, and they said, why don't you, because you're a journalist and you have worked with the media, and now you are a parenting cool, and you write a lot about parenting, why don't you join us as head of content for India and Philippines?
Hmm.
And that's how I moved to parenting altogether. And actually, it became a career for me. Something which I just did out of the joy of writing and sharing my experiences. It just became a career, in the community space. So that's how I moved into parenting, and I started looking at content in the community, how to build communities,
Hmm.
how to basically create a space where mothers can feel safe, where mothers feel that they are not alone in their journey of motherhood, and basically talking about the Indian audience and taking it and asking bloggers to join, and basically how to build community from one follower to, I think that time we were 6 lakh bloggers that really uh,
Wow.
joined the Asian Parent. And what happened was, because, and what again, which is so sad, like which I told you when we were having this chat before this interview, was that women have such powerful roles to play in Indian families, and especially mothers, when it comes to taking household decisions.
Hmm.
I think 85 to 90% of the decisions in the households are taken by the woman of the family or
Correct. Yeah.
mother. Even when you have older kids, like still that time, you are going to buy, in
Hmm.
fact, the innerwear, you're going to buy, choose the color of the walls, you're going to choose the cutlery, you're going to choose the bed covers, in fact, the color of the car, what car to buy, so
Hmm.
many decisions are taken by the woman of the house. And which is why it becomes so important for brands to get an insight on what they going through, what are the
Right.
discussions that are happening in this space, what mothers want to know when it comes to nutrition, when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to family.
Hmm.
A lot of brands started contacting us and started talking to us about how is it that we can collaborate and build
Hmm.
communities, and of course in a very subtle inorganic way, which sometimes is breached, but more, it's totally all over the place. But
Hmm.
that time still there was a lot of regulation, because it was the
Correct. Yeah.
first of its kind model that time. So what happened was that my founder started pushing me and saying that you're so good at storytelling, Avantika. Why don't you join us for brand meetings as well? And
Hmm.
why don't you tell these insights, share these insights? Like I send my child to daycare, and you know what? This is the way they are handling, and this is the way schools are functioning. They sleep in the afternoon. This is what kids are doing in extracurricular, because this is what
Hmm.
I want to know when it comes to
Hmm.
others. And that's how I started accommodating the business team also for their meetings and discussions. And then I got in touch with Momspresso. I connected with
Right.
Momspresso, which was India's largest parenting platform. And when they asked me to join them, they didn't ask me to join as a content editor or content head. They asked me to join as a branded content head.
Right.
And I was really like shocked. Okay, I was a journalist. I've never done sales in my life.
Yeah.
Branded content is something I really don't know about. But that's how I shifted from being a journalist to online, then being a content head for communities, and
Hmm.
then being a branded content salesperson. And it worked very well for me, because like I said, I'm very good at telling stories, very good at telling what happened when I was breastfeeding. These are the challenges I used to face. I never got a breast pump which had these functions.
Yeah.
And these were the insights brands are looking for. And
Hmm.
then we used to amplify it through our community. We used to get more feedback through social listening and all
Correct.
that, which of course is like really blown up now.
Hmm.
And influencer marketing and community marketing suddenly became big. So it really helped me, honestly, Anshika. And that's when I realized that community is something can not only help mothers and women, but can also help brands
Correct.
get
Yeah.
a lot of insights. And of course then that's how revenues function, that's how you build a
Hmm.
business. So I got a lot of insights on the business side of it. And because I was in the community space and I used to interact with a lot of women and mothers, I had a substantial following on Instagram. And I used to do a lot of events with Momspresso. Later on, I worked with Baby Chakra also for a little bit. Then
Hmm.
She the People. So a lot of people got connected with me. And I also had my own following on Instagram. And that's how people think that, I won't want to call myself as an influencer, more like a parenting, a key opinion leader. But people think that I'm also an influencer. But I think I would more than that. I am this community bridge builder, if I can say.
Right. Yeah.
I'm helping connect women with each other, and helping connect. In fact, brands also with their communities they want to connect with, and helping moms earn in the process. That's something that we are also doing. And that's when I realized that because of this being the first mover in this space, I realized that a lot of brands started contacting me directly for the work that I was doing as Avantika and not as the
Hmm.
representative of the platform that I was
Correct.
associated with. And so that's how, I thought, okay, then perhaps I should look at functioning independently.
Hmm.
Meanwhile, the pandemic also had happened, and
Right.
during the pandemic, I had my own page through which I used to do a lot of mental health conversations.
Hmm.
And I used to talk about fitness, which is something I'm very passionate about yoga. I've also learned Kalaripaya too. So I used to say that, I would want to take these issues and conversations and really help mothers, give them a safe space where they can share what they are going through mentally, emotionally.
Hmm.
And if we can be that platform, then why not? And that's how Moms League was born. And Moms League started off as just a page where we were doing conversations around mental health, and we were doing interviews, and we were doing, like we are doing today, finding out stories and what's bothering the Indian mother, and
Hmm.
what challenges Indian mothers go through when it comes to their health, and of course kids, nutrition, and all of that. And some reels went viral and the followers started increasing. Then brands started contacting me that why don't you work independently. So I thought, okay, let me just leave everything. These are signs that I should pick up. Let me just leave everything and give it a chance and see if I can run this on my own. Yeah, so that's how right now I am the founder of Moms League. The agenda is to empower, energize, elevate women and mothers through community, conversations, connections. And of course, since we have connections with a lot of brands who work in this space where they talk about financial empowerment, where they talk about health, where they talk about wellness, we're happy to help them connect with the right community, with the right influencers, with the right creators. And in this whole process, we are also helping women who are part of our community, influencers who work with us, earn. So,
Hmm.
what I'm doing right now, so if you see, it's a long story, but
But I love it. Yes, I love it.
nothing short of, so many career pivots I've taken. And all along, because I was a new mother, all along I also focused on my own self. And
Hmm.
I used to take care of my fitness, my health, my child, and a lot of things I have learned from her as well. And I became a Zumba instructor. I taught
Oh
Zumba
wow.
for some time because again, when I was looking for a Zumba class, I think in 2017 or 18, I realized that
Yeah.
there was not a single class that was dedicated to working mothers or working
Yeah.
women. If
Hmm.
you would inquire, even today, when you inquire for a ladies class, they say 11 to
Yes.
11 to
हाँ, some
4
obscure hour जब कोई भी नहीं
4
होता.
to
Yeah.
5 hours ago. And I
Yes.
said, but I'm working when, how can I come at this hour? So,
Right.
which is why I said, okay, if I've become a Zumba instructor, let me just start a batch and see if women come. And I used to take an 8 to 9 p.m. batch in the evening, and I had 15 students coming.
Oh
And I
wow.
was like, okay, people are there like me who are looking for evening classes.
Yeah.
And that went on well. But then the pandemic happened, and I
Hmm.
didn't really want to teach people online because of injuries and all of that.
Hmm.
And I didn't want to get into that space where people hurt themselves. So then, of course, that's a different story. But yeah, so then I ventured into yoga, Kalaripaya too, and all of that. And now I practice yoga every day, which
Hmm.
is why I would want to call myself an advocate for mental health for moms. And of
Hmm.
course, when it comes to talking about mom rights, I would really want to have any conversation that's regarding that.
Okay, Avantika. So far, I have 2 pages worth of notes. Now, I will ask you questions on my
Okay.
notes. Everything that sparked interest, right? So, one thing I really want you to speak to a little more on is how you mentioned you moved from Dehradun to Bombay, and that was amazing, right? I come from Gorakhpur in UP, and I moved to Bombay for college also, just like you. And I love it. I have realized that this is the most amazing thing that can happen to a woman, which is living by yourself. I believe everyone should, for once in her life, live by herself, right? And live in a big city where you are a new person of your own, right? Talk to me about this whole idea of moving to a big city or moving to a different city compared to where you were born in and how that makes a difference.
It totally changes you, especially if you come from a small town.
Mhm.
you are used to living in a very protective environment. You're used to living in a very limited, circle of people. You are, of course, you might be very intelligent and smart, but you're not really
Mm.
used to meeting people who can question your intelligence, who can question your opinions. So that's what happened to me when I came to Bombay, because I was the brightest student in my class. I was a dancer and I thought I know everything. But when I came to Bombay, I would meet like anybody and everybody would question me for or ask questions, or people were so opinionated and so confident with
Mm.
they carried themselves. And because despite all the intelligence that I had and coming from an intellectual family, because I
Mm.
was in that environment where I was not meeting, I was not exposed to a lot of people,
Yeah.
exposed to a lot of cultures, perhaps exposed to such a cosmopolitan crowd, that
Mm.
I would be like thinking twice before I said anything to anybody initially. It took me some time, it was quite overwhelming, I'll be
Yeah.
honest with you. And of course you come from Dehradun, which was UP, Uttarakhand. It became Uttarakhand that time.
Yeah.
We used to speak a lot in Hindi, which is not what happens in Bombay. I was studying in a college in South Bombay, and everybody used to speak in English and very like your chalta hai Hindi and English and all of that. I was like, I would feel मैं कहाँ आ गई हूँ initially, but I loved it. It was like very, it was transforming and it was liberating, because I was like, finally I am out to a place where I can learn so much, and I'm
Mm.
independent for the first time. I'm in a place where I can do whatever I feel like. I don't have to ask anybody for permission where I want to go, what I want to do. And of course,
Mm.
I was studying journalism. That in itself is a revolution. When you are a journalist,
Yeah.
you have quite radical thoughts, and you want to change the world, and you have people who are quite opinionated and teach you so much, when you are in college. So it was liberating for me. And I think
Okay.
everybody, every child, as a parent, I would want to say that parents should encourage their kids to live alone in a different
Mm.
city. In fact, if possible, in a different city in any country of the world,
Yeah.
because it teaches you so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm a big believer in the idea of, living by yourself. And that's what I was telling you also, living by myself and families. Like, I can see, like, from my window, I can tell this is my mom's and my grandmom's building. So, but still, I'm here. With that, okay, my next question for you is, because you mentioned you really like the idea of instant feedback with social media back in the day. Um, I can also guess you are one of those people who's a super, super early adopter and a tinkerer kinds.
Yeah.
I want to know, what is your take on the latest, which is the hottest thing, AI?
I didn't.
I said,
No.
which is the hottest thing, which is AI today. What is your take
Oh,
on this
AI. Oh,
brand new tech doing the rounds?
I'm totally, I won't say that I'm against AI or I hate AI, but I think
Yeah.
because I'm a creative person, I've been a Kathak dancer,
Mm.
and I think creativity would suffer a lot if people, if all of us just go to AI. A couple of weeks back, there was a headline in Midday
Hmm.
which had the famous ChatGPT dash and the commas. And
Yeah.
somebody caught it that even journalists are using AI these days. So basically, I think AI is in a way making you dumb. If you
Mm-hmm.
use it to your advantage, then why not? If you're using it for making videos, for your social
Mm.
media creatives, and all of that. But if you're using for every small thing like writing an email or
Yeah.
sending a text message, it's really funny. I had a friends get together last month, and my friend was telling me, and it's so funny, and also like how AI is, people are just using AI for anything they want. So she was saying, sometimes I get so overwhelmed as a new mother and two kids and all of that, that one day I asked ChatGPT, "Am I a good mother?" And it's funny, but just look at what all we are doing through AI these days.
Mm.
And I think, like, when I'm using ChatGPT or Claude, there are many
Yeah.
times that I don't get what I want. In
Hmm.
fact, a few weeks back, I had to send a concept note to a client I was working
Hmm.
and I usually do not take a lot of time. And I had an initial idea, and I asked Claude to give me a concept out of it. And the concept that I got, and I think only creative people can relate to it, It was perfect.
Okay.
I could have sent it. But somehow I felt something was missing. And I
Hmm.
was not able to align,
Hmm.
the whole concept and how it was unfolding. I was not able to align myself.
Hmm.
And I didn't send anything to the client for one
Oh.
week. And then on Sunday, I was tossing and turning in the bed and I realized that I have to send something tomorrow. It's more than a week. And I was thinking about it, and that's when, I thought, okay, if I can do this idea, have this concept shaped like this,
Hmm.
how will it look like? And
Hmm.
that's when, I got an idea, and that's the idea I actually sent to the brand. So that was my original idea. And I was not happy with it because I was not able to send an idea which was given to me by Claude.
Oh.
And I just then, of course, elaborated on the whole
Yeah,
concept,
yeah,
fleshed it out more, and if
yeah.
I
Hmm.
needed help, on something, I,
The research and all those
yeah,
things.
chat
Yeah, yeah.
GPT did. But the idea was mine.
Hmm.
And that is the inhibition that I had, and that is the thing that I have, that you take help from AI, especially when it comes to, because we are in this influencer marketing and in this space. Of course you should take help from AI, but it shouldn't stop you from thinking, it shouldn't stop you from being creative. You shouldn't be dependent on it for every small thing. When it
Hmm.
comes to your rescue, when it comes to working quickly, when it comes to making PowerPoint out of your concepts, creatives, calendars, content,
The busy work, yeah, which is
absolutely.
not your craft, I
Yeah,
think.
you should definitely take help. But of course, whenever you are working with AI, be very cautious and be very mindful of the fact that, am I becoming too dependent on it, or am I using my own brain rather than depending on it? So I think it is challenging, especially for creative people, to work on AI, of any AI
Yeah.
engine today.
No, I think it's also important to sort of know what is it that is your core thing. For example, if my thing is thinking, I will probably not do the thinking of it because that is where my magic is. That how do I make sure I'm still getting better on the levels?
Of
But
course,
yeah, everything, the busy
I'm
work and
not
all
in
that.
that. I'm in a very creative community kind of
Yeah,
space, so I really don't have a lot of usage when it comes to AI.
fair.
It's
Hmm.
very limited. But whatever limited usage we have, we still make sure that we are using our own creative brains first.
I love it. Okay, my next thing. So you mentioned being a mom and how your identity sort of overhauls overnight. I want you to talk a little more about it. My question is, what is it that you want women who want to be mothers to think about before thinking of a child or planning for a family? What is something that gets missed so often, or because you interact with a lot of mothers, um, what is it you've been told by them that, oh, I wish I had thought of this before, but I did not?
A lot of things, actually, Anshika, has to change when it comes to being a woman in India and how you are conditioned to think.
Okay.
Okay. Like, for example, you're conditioned to think that this is the right age to get married. And I come from
Hmm.
a different generation. I'm in my 40s, so you can imagine where I'm coming from.
Hmm.
And you're conditioned to think that this is the, like, marriage suddenly becomes, and of course it's changing these days, but I still hear of 19-year-olds wanting to get married and 18-year-olds wanting to get married. And I was so shocked by the recent case couple of weeks back where somebody pushed the lover off the
Yeah.
fiancé off the cliff. And I
Hmm.
was like, but do you really want to get married at 19? Is 19 an age to get married in today's times? If in my time also I didn't get married when I was 19, like that. So I'm still surprised that we're talking about empowerment and all of that, but still there are people who want to get married early. But women are conditioned to think that these are the things that you have to do if you want to have like a fulfilling life.
Hmm.
One of them is getting married at a certain age. The other most important thing is to having a child at a certain age within these many years of your marriage. So the
Hmm.
biggest question I would want women to answer or ask themselves is that, do you really want to have this baby because you want to have the baby, or are you having this baby because everybody around you wants to have a baby, or they are having kids and your mother-in-law thinks so, or your mother thinks so, or your husband wants you to have a baby?
Hmm.
Are you having this child because you want to have that child? Are you prepared to take care of that child? Because your life changes overnight. Don't go with the rosy picture that the world paints. it is a it's a very it's the toughest job in the world, being a mother.
Hmm.
Giving birth to a baby, to a baby, not only gives you a new life, but I think the pain that you go through, the labor pain, I
Yeah.
think it's the second most um, the biggest pain in the world, you know, that a mother endures,
Hmm.
and so it will just transform you, and you might think that I will get my life back. Being honest, that's what women think. Are nothing is going to happen. I have
Yeah.
support, I have family. I will send my child to the daycare. But the moment the baby is born, you just think about the baby and you just forget whatever plans, and that just takes a backseat because
Hmm.
you just everything changes in you. And for you, that child, that tiny human being becomes the center of your universe. So
Hmm.
if that means leaving your job and staying at home with the child, you will do that. If that
Yeah.
means, you know, not going out for coffee with your friends, you will do that. If that means, you know, leaving everything and just staying in one room throughout the day, you will do that because you just change, your entire machinery changes. You get wired differently. And the whole day what you are doing is just thinking of the baby.
Hmm.
So be very, very like prepared yourself first before you listen to others. And I think that's a mistake women make. They get influenced, they get carried away, they are listening to the whole world but themselves. When it comes to taking any decision, actually, but especially when it comes to getting married and having a
Yeah.
baby.
So, for me, funnily, of course, I have been told all of this
Yeah.
since forever that, women, child, oh, obviously you'll have a child. How come you'll
Yeah.
not have a
Yeah.
child? Or,
Yeah.
obviously you'll get married and things like that. And I've always questioned the obviously. But something I've realized of late is because my feed is showing me people's lives and stories from all over the world, I've read such terrible childbirthing stories and experiences. I'm probably scared of it. So I want to sort of like come to a point where I'm even with it, which is I understand the pros and the cons of both sides. But I recently read that as a mom, your brain sort of once you birth a child, your brain changes permanently, and the structure and whatnot, and how it operates. You're probably more sensitive. You're probably a lot of things, right? I don't understand that whole madness. How does one sign up for it, and how do you sort of prepare yourself for what you don't know will probably happen? And so many things, like one of my older friends are starting to get pregnant and have babies and start a family of their own, and I hear all of these things and it is just scary. So my question, Avantika, is what do you tell a scared generation about childbirth and marriage?
See, nothing against becoming a mother, nothing against, you know, getting married. They're beautiful things that can
Hmm.
happen to any woman. And you should definitely go for it. Take the plunge, get married, and have a baby if you want to. But if you don't want to do that, it's totally fine.
Hmm.
Life can be fulfilling, your life can be full, your life can be wholesome without the two as well, you know. And of course, you know, again, be prepared for it. And when I talk to my daughter and we have
Hmm.
conversations because she just turned 15, I
Hmm.
tell her, you know, of course you should think of having a family, think of having a child also if you want to, but
Hmm.
think of what is it that you would want to do as a woman. What is
Hmm.
it? Think of whether you want to have a career, whether you want to have a business, you want to travel the world, whatever it is that you want to do. First, think about what you want to do and then do all of these things. These things should not be the main goal of your life because we are living in a very different world today. 50 years down the line, this was the main thing, the main goal of a woman's life to get married and be a kids and
Hmm.
have kids and give the family an heir,
Her
like
entire way. Yeah.
like carry the legacy forward and all of that.
Yeah.
But we are living in a very different age. But if in this age also your goal is to just be married and have kids, I would really want to ask yourself and you know really question yourself and your choices because we are living in a world where there's so many opportunities.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
not saying that just work, travel,
Hmm, correct. Yeah.
you learn a language, you learn an art, you become creative, whatever you, the world is like filled with possibilities. Explore the world, get experiences of everything, and then of course if you find the right guy, you fall in love or whatever, definitely get married.
Hmm.
And then if you want to have kids, then have kids. And if you find the right guy and follow the process and everything happens as per you want, nothing
Yeah.
will be scary for you. It
Hmm.
becomes easy. That's the best part. Motherhood was
Fair.
very painful for me. I'll be honest. I had a premature baby.
Yeah.
I couldn't breastfeed my child for 10 days. I had, I think I was not prepared for it, and you are never prepared for motherhood.
Hmm.
It happens. Things that you are prepared for, they don't happen. Like I remember when my daughter was 1 year, and I was living abroad. So I used to get these. I come from a family of doctors. I used to take, and it's very important to say that because people consult Doctor Google and take medicines. I come
Yeah.
from a family of doctors, and I used to take basic medicines for fever, for
Hmm.
vomiting, and all of that. And she would suddenly get something which I don't have the medicines for. And this is just how
Yes.
motherhood is. So she would get a rash, and then I would go to Google and say, oh, rashes are very dangerous, Google will tell
Yeah.
me. And I was like, oh my god, I don't have any medicine for this. And
Yeah.
one day she got norovirus, and I
Hmm.
was like, what is norovirus? I don't know. So motherhood does not prepare you for
Hmm.
anything. You are never prepared. And my daughter is 15. I still feel I'm not prepared for what's going to come in the coming years. It never prepares you for anything. It's the toughest job in the world, but it is also the most fulfilling, the most beautiful experience. It really transforms a woman and transforms for her benefit, because it makes you start believing that if you can do this, you can do anything in this world. And that's how it changed me. I started believing that if I can bring a new life to this world, and I raise a tiny human that's always dependent on me like a parasite, initially, then I can do anything in this world that I want to. And if you see whatever steps I've taken in my life, professionally or personally, be, are coming from the strength that I got through motherhood. So
Hmm.
it makes you strong. It is very beautiful, but like really really be prepared for it, because then there are other things that you might go through, like there's postpartum depression, there are other things that might happen. Then you'll be frustrated, then your anger will be taking out on on your kids, on your
Hmm.
family, and then nobody would want to be in that space, honestly.
Fair.
Yeah.
Okay. Talk to me about what is it about postpartum depression that you wish more people understood. Postpartum depression, postpartum life, and mental health, right? Same umbrella. What do you wish more people understood, or like if you could tell people who are listening in one thing to Google and go find out for themselves, what would you suggest them to?
The postpartum health, you sometimes you might, I would always say that don't go to Google, consult an expert.
Hmm.
Whenever you're feeling low,
Hmm.
whenever you're feeling overwhelmed, of course, it could be that today you're feeling overwhelmed, so you go to an expert. If you have phases where you are constantly, feeling dejected, demotivated, and not happy with the life that you're living, definitely consult an expert. And I think what they never tell you about postpartum um, depression or mental health in general, and of course we are changing in today's world, is that it's okay to be like that. It's okay to go through it. That's what
Hmm.
nobody tells you. If you're new mother, I remember I interviewed a very big celebrity, and um, I was in midday that time, and she said that, Vatika, when my baby was born, I did not know I was going through postpartum depression. I There was a time I felt like throwing the baby out of the window.
Hmm.
I was going through so many negative emotions because my life was came to a standstill, and that's what happens. And because like your brain is rewired, everything rewires, your hormones are going like all over the place. You are not sleeping. Today, when we don't sleep, one night, you imagine the kind of effect it has on you. When you're not
Hmm.
sleeping continuously for 6 months, 8 months, just imagine, and which is why it
Yeah.
changes the brain, because you're not
Yeah.
getting
Yeah.
rest, you're not getting sleep, you're sleep deprived all the time. You are, of course, breastfeeding, so you have your deficiencies that come into picture. You might be low on iron, you might be low on calcium. All of this has a lot of a big role to play when it comes to your mood, your
Hmm.
mental health, the way you feel about yourself. You might put on weight. You might, your breast might start sagging. You might have a belly motherhood pooch that will never go away, perhaps. So
Hmm.
then you start disliking this body also, that once you were very proud of, or you thought
Right.
I have the best body in this world, and
Hmm.
it changes totally. So I think a lot of that's what people do not normalize that it's fine to feel like this. And in fact, the families that we are living in these days, of course it's changed, but I'm talking about uh, what I went through earlier. And I went through all, I told you, because I was working 24/7, there was not a single day I took off. And that's how journalists are. And suddenly, I'm sitting in the room with the baby, and I was like, okay, so have I become a maid? Now this is
Hmm.
what I'm going to do. And just imagine the impact will it have on my mind as somebody who used to think herself as an independent woman of
Yeah.
the tree. And I'm like, okay, so I've become a maid, I'm cleaning potty and susu the whole day, like that.
Hmm.
This is what I am, motherhood has done to me. And that time, if you don't, talk to people, if you don't go out and exercise, you don't go out and just take a 15 minutes walk, it can be frightening.
Hmm.
I hope no mother goes through that, but it can
Yeah.
definitely impact your mental health at time. So which is why, the most important thing is, first of all, to understanding and knowing it's normal to feel like that. The second thing is to find a person who, we all have confidence, right? A
Yeah.
person who you can talk to, your go-to person. It could be your husband. That time it was my mother-in-law.
Hmm.
I used to talk to her, and it's strange that she was very progressive. She's no more, but she was very progressive, and she used to be with me all the time.
Hmm.
My mother helped me a lot, and I had a lot of friends I would talk to. And what I realized also, every bad mood or every mood swing need not be moving or inching towards depression. It could just be that this is a phase, you are going through this
Hmm.
phase. Maybe you'll get over it, which is why it's so important to consult an expert and not consult Dr. Google. Understand from an expert, this is what I'm feeling, going through. It's very interesting that doctors ask you to, maintain a record of what
Hmm.
you're going through with kids also. So why can't you maintain a record for yourself? Okay, today this is what happened and this is how I was feeling. Was I
Hmm.
feeling like this throughout the day? Was I feeling like this throughout the week? Was I feeling like this throughout the month? Did I go out? Did I feel like dressing up? Did I have a conversation with somebody else? Did I step out of my room? These are
Hmm.
some things that you should be monitoring. And if you feel that you haven't been doing that for a month or 2 months, if you feel that you really feel uh, negative about yourself, feel negative about the life that you're living, definitely you seek an expert. Of course, if you feel you cannot go to that expert alone, seek a friend's help, go to a close family member, and then definitely seek expert help. And fortunately, today it's become much, much, much open. And in fact, I talk a lot about this, with my daughter as well. And I not only ask her how was your day, but I also ask her how did you feel today? What
Oh,
made you
amazing.
happy? What made you
Hmm.
sad? And like, for example, she said, "Mama, nobody was talking to me. I was sitting in this and this happened." I said, "But how did you feel after that? What did
Yeah.
you do? And these are the kind of conversations mothers should be having with teenagers, especially,
Hmm.
and when they are going through, body changes, going through puberty, and of course having a conversation, just sitting with them and talking to them. So yeah, I think it's okay, and the biggest thing that we can do is to normalize it and be okay with it, even if you have it and someone else does not have it. You
Hmm.
have it, and it's totally fine, and it's something that you can, I won't say treatable, because treatable is a term that doctors should use, but it's something that you can deal with, and
Right.
it manageable. You can manage it. Yeah.
Okay. So, a question. This is not directly related, but also is to you. My question is, um, think of a brand that wants to talk to this audience, right? Mums who have just birthed, not having a great time, trying to find themselves once again out in the world. Um, and they want to create experiences. They want to do events, and you want to pull these people out, right? And like you said, meeting people and community and finding a community is very, very important. But the community that you build for a person who has just become a mom is a very, very huge responsibility and great sensitivity, right? It can go terribly wrong. You'll probably never find out, or you will probably, but you understand that it's a sensitive, sensitive space.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you do it really well because you've been doing it for the longest time. right?
Yeah.
What is the magic? What have you learned that you wish more brands, more people, more community thinkers, managers, owners understood about it?
See, the biggest of brands that have done well in the community space, be it Lego,
Hmm.
be it even Xiaomi, I think Xiaomi was one of the first brands that I heard that was building communities.
Hmm.
And even like, Google, of course, they are in that space only. The biggest of brands do not do in your face branding. They do not push their products in your face. They do not talk
Hmm.
about the product. They talk about the cause. They talk about the leadership route that they can take while building the community. So when we work with brands, and we have been fortunate enough to get brands who understand that it's very sensitive to work in
Hmm.
and do your in your face branding. Like recently, we did quite a few events and we worked with a brand that wants to talk about financial independence, which is so important in today's times. And like it or not, we still have women who are dependent on
Hmm.
us when it comes to paying their own expenses. And that was such a beautiful thing and beautiful cause for us to take as a community. And in that space also, we play the role of initially be totally being these bridge builders and building it in a way that you get a lot of insights and stories coming out of it, and takeaways coming out of it. For example, we have in our last event, we had an entrepreneur who built her brand at the age of 75. And she was like, I said, how do you feel now that you earn your own money? So she started something where, for fun, she used to make things for friends, families, and people started saying, we want to pay you for it.
Hmm.
Asked her, how did you feel when you got your first income? And
Right.
first time she earned when she was 70, 75. And those are the kind of, conversations we do, and with the support of brands. And those are the kind of conversations that create a lot of impact and that create a lot of brand value and they
Hmm.
create a lot of, quality and this whole feeling of, community that
Hmm.
we are here to discuss about how we are growing together, not discuss about this brand. And a lot of brands that we have worked with, uh, even like we work a lot of work a lot with Tata brands like Johnson and Johnson's, other brands also, without don't want to take names here, but they definitely they would want to take the space where they don't want any kind of marketing to be done in your face. Of course, you have
Hmm.
goals, and if you have certain taglines that have to be said,
Right.
but more or less it's about the mother and what she's going through and what is the issue that she's dealing with, like fussy kids or lactation issues in new mothers or postpartum
Hmm.
depression. It's a cause that many brands have taken. And also, like, nutrition for kids, it's so important. It's like I said, when you become a mother, nothing exists in this
Yeah.
world, and the only thing that exists is your baby. If your baby stops eating, that's like your world will come crashing down. It's like that.
Hmm.
So when these brands are addressing to new mothers and specifically on topics that matter to them, and in a very subtle, in a very organic way, it definitely makes impact, and that's the route that brands should take. And if you take that route, it definitely not only creates brand value, perhaps people will start associating with your brand for a brand that's authentic, that takes a stand, and that's a brand that they would want to be associated with.
Okay. Fair.
Yeah.
Um. Very, very huge segue is something I was very curious about, right? And you mentioned on your Instagram, you wrote parenting KOL because you are a
Yeah.
KOL in the parenting space. What I want to know from you, Avantika, is what is your parenting philosophy? And you have a 15-year-old daughter, right? So that's a very, very formative age.
So, there are lots of parenting styles, they say, philosophies they
Hmm.
follow. We read about on internet and hear podcasts now on that. I
Yeah.
think parenting is situational, Anshika.
Okay.
The way I'm raising my child or my daughter will be totally different from how you or the other person, my neighbor, is raising their kids. Depends on the situation I'm in.
Hmm.
And I'm saying that because maybe you are a single mother, maybe you are going through a lot of challenges in your life, maybe you are living in a joint family, maybe you are like me, staying alone in a big city, you know.
Hmm.
So that's why I say parenting is situational, and whatever you are doing, for your child as a mother, never let anyone believe that you are whatever you're doing for the child is wrong, because nobody knows your child better than you.
Hmm.
Always believe that you know what's best for your child. And people might be doing 100 things for their kids and following 100 philosophies, but the best philosophy that there can ever be is that happy mothers raise happier kids. And
Ah, yes.
that is what I believe in. And I think your kids, life should be joyful. And there are a lot of stressors already in this world that we are living in, especially in teens, being Gen Z in today's times or being teenagers in today's times. I think humor, happiness, joy is something that shouldn't go out of parenting, because I think we sometimes take our role as mothers and fathers very seriously, or what is right and what is wrong, and do this and don't do that. All the time we are becoming like this teacher, and
Hmm.
we forget to tell them that life is supposed to be enjoyed. And you can also have a serious conversation by being very playful, by
Right.
being very very taking it very lightly. Like, for example, I can give you several examples. I was sitting and having it's really funny and shocking for me. I was having a Zoom meeting like I'm doing this with you today, and I was presenting something. It was a very important meeting for me, and my daughter walks out of the room, and she is walking in front of it. It's 22 pandemic, work from home was happening, and she walks out in the room and all of that, and suddenly I noticed that the ponytail is not there. Okay, so she used to tie pony. She had long hair, and I see ponytail is not there. And before I could realize, and I was presenting, so I couldn't give any expression that time. And when I cut the corner, I said, where is your hair? She had
That's a
chopped her
brilliant
pony.
question. You
She
never
had
thought you
chopped
would
off
ask.
her hair. She had chopped her ponytail.
Wow.
Can you believe that? And that time, I could have taken in away. I could have shouted at her, and I could have, done 100 things, and I could have stopped that meeting and said that,
Like,
guys,
what happened? Yeah.
I need a minute. Something has happened. But I just asked her, why did you do this? And it was, and she said, because I have been asking you. You are so busy. I've been asking you to take me to a salon, and I want to get my hair cut, and my hair is not looking nice because she had just entered um, I think her 13th year. And
Hmm.
I said, but I was supposed to take you this weekend. I couldn't wait till the weekend, so I just thought I'll chop off my hair.
Woman got the job done.
Yeah. So these are the kind of things that you're dealing with. One day, I just saw her that she's opened a website, and I was like, okay, she's on this website now. How do I react?
Hmm.
Again, you can scold the child, you can shout at the child, and you can just ask them to give the laptop to you, and you're not
Right.
using the laptop again. Or you just say, okay, what are you looking at?
Yeah.
What is it that you're browsing?
Hmm.
If you feel okay telling me right now, I would love to know about it, or maybe you can tell me when you are ready for it.
Right.
So I think um, parenting should be taken lightly. People are taking it very seriously, and just don't forget enjoying the moment, living the life, giving quality time, and also teaching your child, that happiness and joy can be found in little things, and can be found in living a slow life as well, and not constantly chasing deadlines and being on screens. And the
Hmm.
best quality time that I have with my daughter, in fact, we don't watch a lot of television till today. We have TV, but we don't watch it.
Wow.
And the best thing that we do when we are when actually I say that we are spending quality time together, is we are just cracking silly jokes, or we are dancing, or we are talking to each other, or we are just laughing over something that she might have heard or I might have heard. And I think that's the best thing that you can give to your child, and creating happy memories for your kids, because that's what stays with the child when they grow up.
It's fair. I want to age-old debate question for you. Can parents and children be friends? parents and children be friends?
They cannot be friends, because then, so it's always good to remind yourself that you are a parent, which sometimes it happens with me. But having said that, you don't need to be. Perhaps one of you could be the stricter parent, but there should be one parent there, and there is a Harvard study done in this regard, which says that a thriving child, a confident child, just needs one parent that the child can go to in times of distress, in times of dejection, agony, happiness, or
Mm.
sorrow. And if you can be that one parent where the child knows that she is always there for me, where the child at 2 o'clock in the night out on the street calls you, and I think that's what you should remember. And of course, sometimes you can be friends, but sometimes it's very important to draw a line, and very important, because of course when you're dealing with teens, you can't be taking everything lightly. You have to be
Yeah.
so, but that cannot be every day, Anshika. You can't be
Mm.
schooling a child every day. You can't be strict every day, because then they start taking you lightly. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I get furious at certain things, but I don't do that every day.
Hmm.
Like my daughter knows that if my mom is angry today, mother, because she calls me mother, if mother is angry today and father is angry today, it means that I have done something really bad. And those
Mm.
moments should not happen often. They should happen once in 6 months, once in 3 months, so the child has that respect for you, has that regard for you, and there is a boundary that you should maintain. So being a friend is good, traveling, having fun, but of course you have to be a parent, and
Hmm.
I'm the stricter parent. Yeah.
Okay, yes. Are you the stricter parent?
I wish I was more strict and stricter than I am right now. But like I said, I've gotten this from my father and my parents.
Hmm.
My father was very funny, and he taught me that life becomes very easy, and you can go through all the challenges with little humor intact, and by cracking jokes. And that's what I've taught my daughter as well. So I know that I'm very funny and we crack jokes, but I also know that she knows when to take me seriously.
Hmm. Okay, Avantika, something I was very curious to ask you is you work with a lot of mompreneurs also, right?
Yeah.
And you have been somebody, and in general, I think entrepreneurship is very, very difficult.
Hmm.
Motherhood is very, very difficult. And then there are these superhumans in the world who decide, okay, I will combine both of these things and do them together.
Yeah.
What have you seen their lives to be like, and how are they making it all look so effortless? I know it is not, obviously, right? But what are they doing? What are they up to? Is what I want to know.
See, you know what? A lot of us, go through life transforming journeys when we become mothers, like it happened with me.
Hmm.
And also, it somehow, like I said, it gives you that power to believe that you can do anything. And it
Hmm.
actually happens, Anshika. It has happened with me. My life has changed after I became a mother. And I feel blessed that I have a daughter who has taught me so much, given me so much strength, given me so much empathy, and given me so much kindness, that I can build a community that's filled with those really key things that are needed in society today. And I feel that whole power, that you can do anything, and if you can do this, you can definitely build a business. And that's what I see in mompreneurs that are part of our community. And also, um, you might feel that you have lost that spark, or you have fallen behind when it comes to taking a sabbatical or taking a break. But I've also seen a lot of aspiring young mothers launch their own businesses once they became mothers, because that's the time they got. That's when they started thinking about, what is it that I really want to do. Do I want to get
Hmm.
back to my corporate life, my 9 to 5, or do I want to build something? And it's so beautiful that you are creating something, and creating something, whether it is a business, whether it is learning something, or anything that you are into. It really helps build your character, build your strength, and gives you a lot of resilience. And which is why I think that I feel that the mom entrepreneurs that I'm working with, they are the strongest women I know of and
Yeah.
I've met, and some of them have amazing stories, and some of them are building products that are so beautiful and so like unique in their own way. And so yeah, I think motherhood just makes you believe that you can do anything, and that's how I am doing whatever I am doing today. And people say that you are doing yoga also. I can't even go out
Mm.
for a walk, and then you are attending events also, and then you learn to balance. A lot of it that you see on social media, it does not mean that I'm out every day, or
Yeah, of
I am,
course.
of course yoga is non-negotiable for me. You have your
Mm.
non-negotiables, but the time that I spend with my child is non-negotiable. The time at home when I am there with my family and with doing things that matter to us is non-negotiable. you know
Mm.
there are days when you can take your day off. The most beautiful thing about being an entrepreneur is that you can do whatever the hell you feel like. And there is nobody to stop you. And I think as women, because we are always asked, questioned or asked, of the choices that we are making, that I think mom entrepreneurs are finding liberation in that as well. That I am now my own boss and I don't need to answer questions, and I can do whatever I want to do.
Right.
That's what I'm doing with Moms League. I किसी ने मुझसे पूछा था I met one of my bosses, ex bosses,
Mm.
when I started Moms League, and he said very casually, अवंतिका आजकल क्या कर रही हो? So I said, मेरा जो मन में आता है मैं वो करती हूँ। आजकल मेरा जो मन में आता है मैं वो करती हूँ। आज मेरा मन है कि मुझे कुछ नहीं करना तो नहीं करूँगी। कल मेरा मन
Mm.
है कि मुझे सपोज आई वांट टू गो टू दिस इवेंट, और आई वांट टू गेट इन टच विद दिस क्लाइंट, और आई वांट टू वर्क ऑन दिस पिच डेक, or whatever,
Correct.
I will do that. So it,
Mm.
it liberates you. Yeah, being entrepreneurship is the best thing that can
Mm.
being an entrepreneur is the best thing that can happen to mothers and to women. And taking charge of your own self and taking charge of your own financial freedom, it's really amazing.
No, you're right. Actually, I was just talking to somebody, and she mentioned how the reason she's also a mompreneur, right?
Hmm.
And the reason she started her business, which is the Bayleaf chain in Bombay, is because she found flexibility in entrepreneurship, which a typical 9 to 5 would not give you. And
Absolutely.
generally, people want to switch from 9 to 5 to entrepreneurship because it's all in, you'll make it. It's like the exciting part of, okay, I will work for myself. But then there's also mompreneurs who walk into this because they need time and space for themselves, but also want to make something of their own. And it's a good balance like that.
A lot of time, being a mother, you realize that this is something nobody is talking about, which happened with me. I would
Hmm.
talk about it. I would want to take up this cause, and something that just started as perhaps a community, as a cause initially. It became a business. So
Yeah.
never know. There are mompreneurs I know who have built brands because they didn't find solution to that problem, and
Hmm.
that's the best thing you can do as an entrepreneur. You are trying to find a solution to the problem that your audience is encountering, and
Right.
a lot of mompreneurs I know are born from that problem that they dealt with as a woman or as a new mother or as a human being in general.
Yeah. And you know what's funny? The fact that for a mom's life, there are so many unsolved problems
Yes.
that have not been researched, thought about. That there's business-wise speaking, a lot of problems to be solved.
Yeah, and
But yeah.
somehow, off the record, but somehow, what
Yeah.
happens with as women in this country and coming from small towns and joint families and all of that, the initial few years when we should be actually building our career and focusing
Hmm.
on maybe setting up a brand, on being rising up the corporate ladder, we are spending those years, getting married and raising kids and raising
Yeah.
families. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of women do that. When you are in your 30s, you are perhaps taking care of family and you are not in a situation that time to step out
Hmm.
that role. And once your kids grow up, or once you learn that this can be something that I can do now, and which is why we see a lot of mothers becoming entrepreneurs post 40 years,
Yes. Yeah.
and if you compare with the men have done everything before 40, and that's when the midlife crisis hits them. Okay, so what am I supposed to do now? I have done everything. but women in
Are
comparison,
just beginning. Yeah. Oh my God, that is a very, very interesting observation. Yeah.
they're just beginning, and which is why women over 40, they can do anything in this world. I
Yeah,
feel.
I know some amazing women over 40. I think I'm in awe. Like I know some people who get me excited to be 40. The things they're doing with their life.
Yeah,
And I'm just like hoping to get to 40 someday, having experienced a lot and so
yeah,
much to look forward to.
yeah.
But yeah. Okay, I had this one last question for you, Avantika, which is that in all of this madness of okay, talking to people, brands, these public appearances, events, yada yada yada, what is one thing you wish more people asked you as a person, and what is the answer to that?
Wow, this is such a good question. Because for people who are building businesses or being alone, and they're so busy solving problems,
Mm.
so busy, always on their toes and paying GSTs, paying tax,
Yes, yes, yes. Right
paying
before this call, I
people,
was doing that.
paying, like, see, when you become an entrepreneur, you have this vision for yourself. You want to change the world with the product that you're trying to build, but then you get caught in this invoicing part and this GST part, and this has to, you become an admin actually
Yeah.
as an entrepreneur, you become an admin in 6 months time, and then you start questioning, this is what I wanted to build, which is why you see that some
Mm.
businesses, in fact, 95% of the businesses don't exist after 2 years, because that's what the entrepreneurs face, and that is known as the founder's fatigue. You're
Hmm.
solving so many problems, paying so many bills, that you just lose track of the vision
Yeah.
that was the first place why you started. And I think as a founder, as a mother, and as a woman, I wish people just came up to me and asked me, do you need help? How is it that
Hmm.
we can help you? Or a simple question like, how are you feeling? Can I take you out for coffee? Just
Hmm.
just one question, because it's like nobody is asking me that. I am doing so much, but nobody asks me that, and that's something I do when I meet women, and I make sure that that's how Moms League was born. I got a call, and from a mother, from a new mother, and I'm sharing this because it just changed the my life and changed how I'm living my life today. I got a call from a new mom who was going through the same dilemma which I went through in 2011. And she was a journalist, and she was like, okay, so now what have I done to myself if I become a male? And she called me and she said, Vandika, do you have 5 minutes? And it was a Sunday, and I said, I realized that this is an important call, that and some
Yeah.
important conversation that she wants to have with me. It was getting late. I wanted to go somewhere, but I said, okay, I have 5 minutes. I want to listen to what
Hmm.
you want to tell me. And as a friend, she started telling me what she was going through, and that call lasted for an hour, Anshika. And at the end of it, she just said one thing to me, and I still get goosebumps when I talk about it, is that thank you for listening.
Aw.
And that's when I realized that this is what moms are not getting. They're not getting
Yeah.
platforms, they're not getting forums, they're not getting other women mothers who can make them feel that we are here to listen to you.
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
you are not alone.
Hmm.
And that's what I think anybody, and not only women, I think even men need in today's times. I am fortunate to have somebody, who a man who is actually like that. And um, you know I ask him also, do you want to talk about something, do you want to discuss something? I think men also need that these days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Think that's the question. That's what everybody needs. That they get that safe space. They get that one coffee
Hmm.
meeting, or that one shoulder where they say, "Oh, I'm just so tired. I wish
Yeah.
I can take 5 minutes off. I wish somebody was there to help me solve this tax issue or this GST issue and all of that." So yeah,
That is a very, very fair and recent thing. I just put like, today morning,
yeah.
it was a very, very overwhelming world for morning for whatever reason, electricity and whatnot, right? I
Hmm.
put a 5 minute alarm and I said, okay, 5 minutes, I will just sit and look outside and do nothing. And I get what you mean. I'm not a mom, I don't have babies, but I get what you mean
Which
100%.
is why, Anshika, and would want to end this
Yeah.
with this thought, which is why it's so important for mothers to take care of their mental health. Take
Hmm.
off breaks, take off 5 minutes of meditation, 5 minutes of just doing nothing, like you said. It could be thinking about anything in this world, you know.
Yeah.
Just taking a cup of coffee and just sitting alone. If that means being in the bathroom for 5 minutes alone, that's fine. It's so
Hmm.
important for you to spend some time with yourself when you're overwhelmed and just take some time off and do nothing, but
Yeah.
just feel what you're feeling and just to absorb that energy and perhaps try to understand what is it that you're going through, and so important.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think I wish more people did that. In fact, funnily, like my grandma used to wake
Hmm.
really, really early, and I'm very, very close to her. I've lived with her for the longest time in my life. Um, she'd wake up really early, and I tell her, Ma'am, you're old. Why are you waking up so early? सो जाओ. क्यों जाग रहे हो? क्या मिलता है आपको?
Yeah.
आपको क्यों काम करने हैं घर के? And she tell me that is the only time I get to myself, and I love it. And I'm realizing now how amazing that was, and I wish more people did that.
Absolutely, and I'll give you a tip over here. If you want to start anything when it comes to women and mothers, the
Yeah.
best time to do that, or launch a video, a podcast, or
Hmm.
release anything, the best time to do that is 10:30 in the night, because that's the time when women are free. That's
Yeah,
the
because
time they
like
watch the
wrapping up the
serials,
days
or
and
they are on their phones, because
yeah.
that is their me time. And that's the time even when I chill, because I'm a mother. I have to wake up in the morning. And
Hmm.
how early can you wake? If your child has to wake at 7, how early can you wake up? So my me time is in the night. Yeah.
Okay, that's a very, very interesting marketing insight. Only you could have that, Avantika.
And that's what I help brands with. These are the insights that I give them. Okay, if you're releasing something, we should do it 10 o'clock in the night.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna start checking every piece of content that we do for women and mothers. We'll do at 10 and let's see what happens.
Let's just take this as an experiment. Yeah.
Done. Okay, cool. Avantika, thank you so much. This was lovely. I had a lot of fun and I learned a lot, honestly, and so much to think about, and so many notes actually. I'll show you. This is my page one, this is my page two, and this is my page three.
And this is
So,
something Anshika, it was a pleasure. And this is why, like when you said, what do you want to talk about? I just want to talk about everything that comes with
yeah.
being a mother. And it just brings me so much joy if I can share, if I can even for 5 minutes make somebody, or make them laugh, or make them, give them a solution, or give them
Hmm.
an insight which can maybe help them solve their own challenges, then why not?
Yeah, and often it's the littlest things, right? Like it's not groundbreaking things that you offer to people, but just like, okay, take a 5 minute break or
Yeah.
call a friend,
Yeah,
stuff like that.
absolutely. Go for a coffee alone.
Yeah,
Why not?
I love a alone coffee.